Welcome to The Jeweler's View. I'm Courtney Gray, metalsmith, educator, and creative business strategist. After 25 years in the jewelry industry, running one of the country's top metalsmithing schools, coaching artists, advising companies and organizations, and hosting interviews with some of the best in the craft, I finally created the kind of support I wish I'd had from the start. This podcast is a part of that. Each week, I share the lessons I had to learn the hard way so you can build a rhythm that supports your creative work, your values, and the life and business you actually want. Find tools, coaching, and my Transform course at CourtneyGrayArts.com, and let's get to work. Hello, my jewelry making friends. Most jewelers think sourcing is about finding the right vendor, the right website, or the right list. And to a degree, that's true. You do need good sources. You do need access. But the moment something goes wrong, you find out very quickly. It's not about where you bought the stone. It's about who you bought it from. I was working on an engagement ring years ago, and we had sourced a really beautiful ruby for the center of it. Not the most expensive stone in the world, but a really solid stone. Right color, right size, right feel for the client and for the budget. It fit the design perfectly. We mounted it, everything looked great, and then the ring needed sizing. And if you've been at the bench for any length of time, you already know that's one of those moments where things can easily go sideways if you're not careful. I thought I had protected the stone well. Apparently not. And it wasn't a small crack. This was done. It was fried. If you've ever had that happen, you know the exact feeling. It's instant. Your stomach drops, your mind starts racing because now it's on you, right? There's no passing that off to the client. There's no workaround. I had to replace the stone on my dime. And this is where relationships matter. I called the dealer I had sourced it from. He knew me. We had worked together before, and there was a history there. I explained exactly what happened, no excuses, just this is what happened. And because of that relationship, because there was already trust in place, and he knew I'd be coming back to him in the future, he helped me out tremendously on the replacement. And here's the part that still sticks with me. The stone we replaced it with was actually nicer than the first one. Silver linings, right? It had better color, better presence. It just was all around. It was a better stone. The client was actually thrilled. The piece ended up stronger, and what could have been a complete disaster was resolved pretty cleanly in the end. That situation doesn't get solved by a website. It gets dissolved by a relationship. And that's the part of this industry that really it doesn't get talked about enough. Relationships in this industry are not a soft advantage. They are infrastructure. They determine what you have access to. They determine how problems like this get solved. They determine how supported you are when something doesn't go according to plan, which often happens. I see this most clearly every year when I go to Tucson. I go with one of my best friends, Karen Richards, who is considered the rock lady here in Texas. She runs one of the largest metaphysical shops in Central Texas, and she's been going to Tucson for over 30 years. Walking that show with her is incredible to witness. You see very quickly that she's not just another buyer walking through booths. She has built relationships with these dealers all over the world over decades of attending this show and buying their goods. Some of them, she has literally put their kids through college with her purchases over the years. Think about that. That's not a transaction. That's a long-term relationship that has had real impact on both sides. They don't just know her name. They know her taste. They know her buying patterns. They know what works in her store and what doesn't. There's history there. There's care there. There's a level of trust that you just can't replicate quickly. She thinks of them as family, and they treat her like it. That's the approach that we want to build with the people we work with. Within reason, of course. We still run businesses. We still have to have boundaries. We still make decisions based on what's right for our work, but there's intention behind it. Because when you build relationships like that, something shifts. You stop being just another order or another customer. You stop being just another email in someone's inbox. And you become someone people think of. They see a stone come in and your name surfaces first. They set things aside for you. They reach out before it ever gets posted publicly sometimes. And they start to understand your eye, your clients, the budgets of your clients, your standards. And over time, what happens is they start sourcing for you, not just selling to you. So what does that actually look like in practice? Because it's not complicated, but it does require consistency. You pay on time, you communicate clearly, you ask thoughtful questions and actually listen to the answers, and you follow up when you say you will. If someone takes extra time with you, you acknowledge it. If a piece gets finished, maybe send them a photo of the finished piece with their stone in it. Dealers genuinely love seeing where their stones end up. It closes the loop in a way that most people don't take the time to do. And you learn how to say no cleanly, professionally. Not every stone is right, and that's okay. You could say something like, this one's not quite right for this client, but I'd love to see what comes in next. That tells a dealer a lot. It tells them you have a point of view. It tells them you're paying attention. It tells them you're not just buying randomly. And that makes the next showing or memo even better. Now, here's the other side of this that's important. Dealers are evaluating you too. They are deciding, are you someone worth working with? Are you respectful of the material and their time? Are you respectful of the material? Do you understand what you're buying? Do you follow through? Do you make their job easier or harder? Because the better you are to work with, the better stones start finding you. That's not luck. That's how this industry works. If you're early in this industry, that's okay. There is a shortcut. Ask other jewelers who they trust. Ask where they sourced. Ask who's been consistent for them and who has disappointed them. Those conversations can compress years of trial and error into a single exchange. And this is one of the most valuable things about being in a room with other working jewelers who are serious about what they're building, because that information, it gets shared. Now, a quick note on ethical sourcing, because this comes up more and more. Perfect traceability is rare in a global gemstone supply chain. That's just the reality. What is possible is informed sourcing, working with dealers who are asking the same questions that you are, who are transparent about what they know and honest about what they don't, who are making an effort to work with better partners, even if it costs more. The jewelers doing this well aren't claiming perfection. They're demonstrating to their customer care, and they're building relationships with suppliers who share the same values. That's what responsible sourcing actually looks like in practice. So if you're struggling with sourcing, don't go looking for better vendors. Build better relationships, because in this industry, the people you know, the trust that you build, and the reputation that you carry into every room, that is your sourcing strategy. Keep building, my friend, and pay attention to the people along the way, because they're building it with you. Onward and upward. See you next week. Thanks for listening to The Jeweler's View. If today's episode gave you something to think about, you'll find tools, coaching, resources, and the Transform course at CourtneyGrayArts.com. Remember, you're not behind. You're becoming exactly the kind of maker your business needs. And that kind of depth, it takes time. I'll be back next week, same time, onward and upward.
Singing bowls and stories untold. Yeah, here's to the dream.